Hello. Okay. Hello. Welcome to these sessions in the afternoon. Now we'll have Louai Khanji speaking about his histories with the automotive industry. So please give him a round of applause.
All right, here we go. So thanks for being here. I see the crowd has thinned a bit, but I'll work with what I've got, I guess. So my talk is titled In the Driver's Seat, Tech Tales from the Automotive Sector. Let's get started. So if you're in the wrong room, please relocate now. Those are the sessions in the other places. And you are in Berlin at the moment. Some words about me. So it's been a bit cut off on the sides, but let's not worry too much about that. So I've been with the Qt company since 2013, right? So I work at the Oulu office all the way up there, which is our most northern office, I believe. Even though I've been with this company only since 2013, I have a longer experience with Qt, KDE. I've actually used Qt as a programmer since around 2003 or 4, something like that. And I'm currently principal consultant in Oulu at the consulting team there. And I do maintain the Direct2D platform port, but that's not immediately relevant to the automotive stuff. The automotive sector is interesting. So it's obviously an embedded industry. They're in a state of transition from closed black box devices to open white box devices. And that takes a different skill set to really produce these systems. And the idea of ecosystems has come along. So these are the 3 things I'm going to talk about in my talk here. But if we look at those 3 points, we have something that's a very good match for Qt. Let's see why. So first off, a note about ecosystems. So I'm going to start from the back and work back up if you think about the list you saw a second ago. So there's a lot of organizations basing their stacks on top of Qt, and they use Qt in different ways. So that's just a small selection of different ecosystems that have been built with Qt at the core. Personally, I think, or to me, there's one that's really important, which is this one here. Because that's, I guess, the original Qt ecosystem, the first one that was really big. And it's actually one of our biggest strengths also in terms of credibility, because KDE has been around since 1996. It's going to be 20 years old soon. That's quite a while in computing terms. But the other thing about KDE is that it's really big. So if you go and look at the KDE website, they do point out that the KDE community is the 2nd biggest free software ecosystem, just after the Linux kernel. And then the 3rd one is quite a bit smaller. Now, car manufacturers are always worried about going with somebody who's too small to scale up, who doesn't have enough experience in building things and so on. But the fact is that we, Qt, KDE, taken as a whole, we have 20 years of experience in building these sorts of ecosystems, and there's a lot of organizational knowledge that is difficult to gain otherwise. So I was talking to my announcer here a minute ago about things like build systems, for example, which are really hard to get right. And these things start to matter when you go from black box devices, where you really only care about how they look from the outside, to things where you want to look what's in it, how the source is structured, how the binaries were used, how to reproduce a build successfully 10 years from now as the consumer, not the producer of this device. At these transition points, this sort of experience is really valuable, and it's hard to come by unless you've done this before. And if you look at the automotive sector, there's a lot of organizations that come from a really low-end, really embedded background. They don't have a lot of experience, let's say, with Unix or packaging or something like that. And they're struggling now. That's what I've seen. Some are better than others, but there's often a lack of knowledge if you look at the organization as a whole. So again, it's a black box. You don't care about it. You don't care how the binaries were built that run in it. You don't care how the code looks inside. You don't care because you're not actually a platform developer if you just buy a black box about how it's documented. You don't care if it's only in Japanese or, Chinese or whatever you have. But then when you make this transition to a different way of thinking, these things become very central because you actually take over a platform that you want to be able to extend and adapt in the future to changing circumstances. So if you think about a big build system of a whole, IVI system, for example, you have Yocto in the mix, you have auto tools, you have CMake, you have QMake being run by the Yocto recipes. And if you're not adept at integrating different Yocto layers, then you can end up with quite a hassle in changing anything in the system. Similarly, code cleanliness. If you've never had to share your source code, then you don't care about it by default. And the same goes for platform developer documentation. If you've never shared your source code with anybody, then it doesn't matter if your code is commented only in German, French, or Japanese. But if you want to build an actual white box product, then you do have to be able to reach a bigger number of people than read only this one language. But I think Qt really fills it ticks the right boxes for many people. So we have nice graphics, APIs, they're nice and fast, we have good multimedia support, we have input support for low-level devices, and you have all that pretty portably. Often the hardware adaptation is done for you already. So talking about tech tales, one is, for example, supporting the Renesas R car. I was part of a team that did initial port for that right around a year ago from now. We were working with a customer who was in a big rush. They had this wonky Yocto build system, which wasn't too nice to work with. So we had to fix that first. And it took a while. It wasn't too nice. There was a lot of pushback. Why are you worrying about this? And getting them to see that these things are important took a long while. But then once the actual build system was fixed, adapting Qt to the platform was really quick. From our point of view, in this case, it was a regular Linux stack. The only thing we had to do was implement a small backend for the eGLFS platform plugin. And suddenly, hey presto, the Renesas R car worked. At the same time, because the Renesas stack uses standard KMS interfaces to create the buffers, set the modes, we also got the Intel stack to work, and basically I can run things on my PC, on my laptop here, in the same way I do on the R car. the point I'm getting at here is that you have this buildup of compatibility within Qt, which when you don't use Qt, you don't have that. You have to start from scratch. And then even if things don't work exactly right, if you have this stack that makes sense and is, at least halfway decent, then adapting that again to a different platform can be done pretty quickly. So the NVIDIA Jetson TK1 Pro, for example, is a good example. So it uses the same KMS mood setting API as desktop PCs use, as the Intel SoC platforms use, as the Renesas uses, but it doesn't use the same buffer management mechanism. But adapting the Qt stack to it took me 1 week. So we have Jetson TK1 Pro support now. We have Q Wayland, the compositor, working on it. I started working on it last Wednesday. I got it running on Sunday, so I wanted to finish it before coming here. But the point is that we have very wide support out of the box already. And I think we're actually the first piece of code on the internet for the TK1 Pro at all, ever. If you Google for it, there's nothing except us. It's been an interesting road. So when I came to the Qt company, I knew nothing about embedded systems. I'd never done anything embedded before. Yet here I am telling you that I did a platform adaptation for something we didn't support in 4 days or so. I don't know a lot of communities which can pull that off, because it's not me that I'm a really good developer. It's actually the Qt stack is really good, that we as a community have a lot of knowledge in the society that we've built around Qt, which makes it possible to do these things. Which also brings me to the next point, which is our Ubuntu Qt stack, which the whole Qt Automotive Suite is built on. The whole thing is basically us taking Yocto, packaging it up, putting Creator on top, and having remote deployment and stuff like that work out of the box. And I have seen really big organizations struggle with it and spend millions on replicating it with, hundreds of developers, and we have 5 people doing it, essentially, maybe a few more. But if you know the right things, then it doesn't take a lot of effort. Of course, these 5 people will tell you otherwise, but it's a different league from having 100 people working on it and still getting a bad stack in exchange. So this logo has come up before today. I was at the Automotive Grade Linux meeting in Santa Clara a month or so back. And it was interesting because they wanted to have a Yocto stack. They wanted to produce one reference image for one Renesas board and have a QEMU image as well. And they wanted to have that approximately a year from now. And I found myself saying every 5 minutes, yeah, we've had that for a couple of years now. So I think that puts us in a good spot regarding HEL. But it's also interesting, again, to see how for them, this is something new. They were talking about setting up a code review system, maybe having a sanity bot attached to it in the future. They recently got a CI system up and running, and this whole way of working is something that to all the members who were there was a new thing. They'd never really done that before. They had dealt with people who have done it, but they'd not personally been doing that previously. Of course, Genevi was something that they all used, but this open source work and approach it didn't come, as something that's natural to them. And I found that really telling because they are basically outsiders looking in and wondering how to build this system on top of Linux, or QNX even is very similar in many ways. And they don't have this ecosystem and platform building experience that we've had for a long time. And getting that 20 years of silent knowledge is something you can't do overnight. But I guess that's the whole point in why we went forward with the Qt Automotive Suite and the idea of that. Because I think we have this knowledge, we have a lot of capability, and we maybe haven't been too good about coordinating between the three organizations here and the rest of the community and so on. But that's exactly what we want to fix, because I think we have a really nice stack, we have really nice technology. We have basically all the bits and pieces, but what we just need to do is stop for a second and figure out how to pull them all together and build something really nice that works out of the box. If you think about HEL, it's interesting that that's exactly their thought also with how they see Genevi. I mean, Genevi is a technology umbrella organization, and HEL wants to be a distribution of that. And our idea, of course, is to help them along. So we've been talking to the AGL, for example. We've been in the meetings weekly. But of course, we want to push Qt as much as we can. So it's there's interesting discussions sometimes because people have no technical reservations about Qt basically ever. Small ones now and then, yes, but it's details. People are worried about Qt being in too many places now, which is an interesting turn of events because that wasn't really the case too long ago in the automotive sector. The AGL, for example, specifies 2 different runtimes. There's a web runtime and for HTML applications, and there's a native app framework. And I try to tell them, yeah, you could use Qt Compositor to build your home screen and gain 30% performance. That's what we measured, that if you run Western and have a client there which draws your home screen, and then you go and build it on top of eGLFS directly and have that be your compositor, then the home screen is 30% faster in terms of graphical performance. I try to tell them also that, hey, so why don't you use Web Engine for HTML? And all the engineers are like, let's do it, which is a good signal, I think. So all we have to do is reassure people that, hey, we're the good guys, and we will continue to be the good guys because that's in our interest. And I really see nothing that stands in the way of us and world domination in the future. Because this is basically what everybody wants to build. These big organizations that I mentioned previously, they want this, but they don't have this silent organizational knowledge to actually, do it. They are really good at building bits and pieces, but putting it all together in an integrated whole with a good build system that's maintainable, that you can look at and not lose all your hair. As you see, it's past that point for me. It's tough. It's not an easy thing to do. There's 2 value propositions if you go to the Qt Automotive Suite website, which are mentioned: more value and decreased costs. And I think that's sort of management speak. As a developer, I like to actually think that more value means that I can create nicer things faster and not have to worry about the details, like the build system, like how Yocto is integrated, how remote deployment works. And actually decrease costs for me is the same thing. I can spend more time on the interesting stuff. Going back to the example that I gave previously of how we did the Renaissance support, that was an interesting project in many ways because we spent a lot of time, we were in as consultants, basically educating the client, and I hadn't really been in that position before previously in this specific industry. And it took a long time for me to actually realize that these things aren't as straightforward as I think of them, that the idea of version control that has, separate distinct commits that do one thing, or that a build script should, have the same output every time. It's not something that's actually something you can depend on being, organizational knowledge. I guess the point here is that we have that knowledge, we have a nice stack, we have a way forward now, we have arranged for a partnership to start with KDA and Pelagicor, but of course we are open to outside contributions. We want to work with everybody. So this is not an exclusive cigar club that you have to sign, a big legal ledger to join. We want to see everybody be part of it. So that being said, that was basically my main point, to say that, my tech tale is that these things that we take for granted, they're not something you should really take for granted in most places, because we might have internalized them due to our own experiences, but that's not the case with everybody, especially coming from this very low-end background. I think we've seen a similar transition before with some mobile phone companies, which I will not mention by name. But that was painful for everybody as well. And I want to be in the position where I can, a few years from now, look back and say that I actually did help people to survive this transition, make the best of it, and avoid all that duplication that's going on at the moment. Thank you. And I'd be happy to take any questions you have at this point.
It's not tied to a Linux distribution, is it? You talk about automotive-grade Linux and Geneva, and those can be on top of multiple, automotive-grade Linux, no. The automotive platform you're talking about is on top of these other operating systems, not tied to a specific one?
It is, okay, yeah, just keep it. So, you're right, it's not. So we have Geneva and AGL here, but we do have QNX as well. Now personally, I don't have much experience working with QNX, which is why I didn't talk about it too much. But the idea is to support different operating systems and be a not a wrapper, let's say an extra layer on top of and around it. I've been asked previously, why these boxes are surrounded by the middleware box. Is this something that's closed and you can't extend? No, that's not the case. So it's really just, additional components for Qt, additional tooling, some ready-made images. But we do want to support many platforms. I'd like actually to see maybe Windows in the future. Not sure how big that's going to be. But, just to show that it's not that you have to be Unix-y or something like that.
Only one question. We don't have much time, sorry, so please make it quick.
Okay, so what set of skills or prerequisite knowledge does a software developer need before working in the automotive sector or before using the Qt Automotive Suite?
So before using the Qt Automotive Suite, The idea, of course, is that you don't need any skills beyond basic Qt quick skills. That's the ideal case. And I think for certain reference hardware, we're going to hit that. So we, with Ubuntu Qt, I mean, if you have one of our reference, platforms, then you have a flasher. You say, okay, flash an image for this device. Let me show you.
You have like 30 seconds.
I'm quick. But so I can go in here and say like flash me one of these devices, plug in an SD card, it flashes it. I plug it in a USB, micro USB, cord between the two. The creator finds it. I hit run. It remote deploys. I can remote debug, remote profile, everything. So I want to be at that stage also with Qt Automotive Suite. Now, of course, if you do a port to a different platform and you have to deal with Yocto and so on, then that's a different set of skill that you need. But we want to ease the pain there, as far as possible to have good reference ports. I want to have some extra documentation how to do new platform ports and so on. But most platforms are quite similar in the end. There's a reference platform somewhere, everybody uses that, and then you have details to fill out. So hopefully that's going to be easy as well in the future.
Okay, so time's up. Please give a round of applause to Louai.
Thank you.